We're just it's our show. Here is the public domain theme song. We can't afford to pay for a real song, so this is the Tower Show theme song. Hey, 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 and we're going.
You're on.
We're rocking it. Hey, hi, hey. It is Tuesday. What is the date? I don't even know.
It's the 20th.
It's the
of May,
20th.
right?
It is May the 20th. And it's the Tara Show coming at you live. I am Tara Dublin, residing in Portland, Oregon. There's my partner in truth, Tara Devlin, coming at you from Queens.
Yes,
yo.
and Tara Jr. in the house.
Oh,
Put your hands in the air. Wave them like you just
Yo.
don't care.
Meow, meow.
He doesn't care.
Holla at all the
holla at-
catty
holla at.
kids. Okay, now I'm seeing the chat. Hey, Jim. Hey, Oliver. Now
Yeah,
I'm
what
seeing
the hell is
chatting
happening
happen.
here? Where
I
did
don't know.
everybody go?
I don't
Yeah.
know. We couldn't see them until we started the show, I think is what
Yeah,
happened
something
this
weird
time.
happened there.
Yeah. So we're just gonna dive in because there's a whole lot of happening all at once, such as is always happening. And the
Yep.
first thing we're gonna do is pour one out for our man Joe Biden. I'm not really pouring one out
Yeah.
on my desk, but I spent a significant amount of time crying about Joe Biden when I heard the news, because this man is such a good man who does not deserve 1 second of pain, who has never gotten the props that he deserves for his administration, who has lived through unimaginable personal tragedy
That's right.
throughout his life and has served his country longer than any other public servant in American history, does not deserve the shit being thrown at him. And then we find out that he has a allegedly treatable form of prostate cancer that is at stage 4 and yet has metastasized to the bone. And so first you want to scream, fuck cancer to the universe. And as somebody, I'm 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Cancer is have the highest incidence of cancer on the planet. I'm the daughter of a breast cancer survivor. Both of my maternal grandparents died of cancer. I'm just waiting for it to get me in one way or another. It's just, I've sent off my spit for genetic testing, so I'm waiting for that to come back. I know I'm negative for both breast cancer genes, thankfully.
That's
my
good.
brother and I both. Thankfully, my brother and I both are negative for BRCA1 and 2, which means our children are all negative, which is good because he has 4 daughters. Anyway, and Joe Biden wants to eradicate cancer. If you remember, he was trying to get
the
his
cancer moonshot. Yeah. But
Right.
which
So-
Trump rolled back, of course, because they
Of
froze and terminated millions of dollars in federal medical research grants. And how much are they going to harm people in the future? I mean, the damage is really immeasurable at this point.
It's so disheartening. He is such a good man, and this is, you want to sit down and make an argument for there being no God. Everyone was all piling on Joe thanks to the stupid Jake Tapper book, and
Oh, God,
we
I
saw
know.
in real time, watching them all have to go in reverse course
Jake
as soon as the
Tapper.
news came out about Joe Biden. And let's talk about Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson wrote a book saying basically the Biden administration knew the entire time that Biden was in decline and worked actively to cover it up and not share it with the public, and that's just fucked up bullshit. And Naomi Biden, his granddaughter, tweeted about it, and she was like, look, I've read this stupid pile of crap, and it's just ridiculous. She used the word silly. None of it lines up with truth, and it's just, you have a demented, evil, 25-year Epstein bestie, convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, completely tanking the economy right now, and you're like, maybe Joe Biden had cancer the whole
It's
time.
so
Shut up.
ridiculous. And even
It
if
is
he did,
ageist and oh god,
right? And that's why I
I
wrote on the Substack about the real health cover up isn't about Biden, because if this is what being diminished looks like, great. Yeah, let's sign me up for that. I mean, what he did, he was handed, as Republicans always do, handing Democrats an economy on the brink of disaster or in a disaster, and He turned it around, in not in just like eking a recovery. The only thing that was lagging was inflation, which was a worldwide problem. And
Correct.
I just want to point out too. This is why and I wrote, there's not only there are different rules for Republicans. There's an entirely different rule book for this monstrosity, traitor Trump.
Yes.
That is for
Yes.
sure. But
Yes.
they always, whenever you brought up, and this was on the corporate media, who are the problem really. But whenever it was brought up that Trump left office with the worst jobs record since Herbert Hoover, they would always say, well, that was because of COVID. And we have clips of Katie Tur saying that, and anyway, and all the other apologists for Trump. But okay, when inflation was mentioned, they wouldn't give Joe Biden the same graciousness. Well, this is a worldwide problem due to COVID, and that is the truth.
Unreal.
They kept saying that it's something that he specifically caused by with his with the Inflation Reduction Act and the Chips and Science, with all the things that he was doing, historic job growth, unemployment record lows, rising wages, and restored the global standing, small business booms. That Trump is unraveling this. Everything that they talk about, the Republicans. Yes, they're evil. It's evil, absolutely evil.
It is, and we talked about this before, for over and over, and it's just these tariffs are basically a hate fuck against not just America but the global economy, because Joe Biden, who is beloved, like Joe Biden, a master of foreign policy, and during his 8 years as vice president, he really did America a solid on the global stage and strengthened our relationships with our allies overseas and around the world. Remember the reception that he got in Ireland towards the end of his presidency?
Yeah.
Like, why he came back is beyond me. He should have just stayed in Ireland and become president of Ireland instead, because they understood how to treat him, just like they understand how to treat Trump in Scotland.
Yes.
All hail the late, great Janie Godley and her Trump is a C word. So, anyway, it's just...
Well, they know what he is. He's a con man. Not just the C word. Right. He's the other C word. A con man.
Right. A con man. A convict.
Convict, con man.
Felon.
There's a lot of C words.
Of things. Yeah, all of them. None of them good. But what they forget is that Joe Biden lifted our economy to the point where all other global economies were lifted along with ours.
That's right.
And we had an historic economy, the best in 60 years. Best in 60 years. And Democrats did not do their job in sharing that message. They did not. And the media certainly wasn't there to boost Joe Biden. And here we are now. I wrote for the Political Voices Substack that the media can shut STFU about Biden now. And and I think we're going to be seeing that as a more prevailing message, especially from independent media sources like Jeff Tiedrick wrote about it today. Like, just leave Joe Biden alone.
Right. You're like, shut up already.
Right. Yeah. Shut up, because all you have to do is go to the archived website for his administration from the White House, and the Biden administration record is there. And those who call themselves, who tell us to do our own research, go ahead and do your own research. Google that. Fake. Go to there. It's and then they can't come back. They can't come back with it. It's like when I tell the MAGA trolls to Google the words repainted Lolita Express Trump campaign.
Right.
And they don't come back because they found the same truth that just exists in the world. And I'll remind you that the truth is the truth, regardless of who it's about, whether you like it or not. It's unconscionable that the media didn't do its job. It's now, though.
I know.
Now what we're going to end up getting, in my heart of hearts, I want to believe this because it's going to be because like like Lawrence O'Donnell is like, the media is not doing this, and I'm like, you're literally the media doing it, and I'm
Oh,
the
I know.
independent. And I'm the independent media doing it. Let's boost each other doing this.
Yeah.
It's just now you're gonna have to, media. You're gonna have to look back and tell the truth about those 4 years that Joe Biden turned the ship around
I
from
would
the
hope
brink
so.
of disaster.
Right.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to, just
Uh,
out of basic respect. The man has stage 4 prostate
respect.
cancer. You are going to have to, and we're gonna make you.
Well,
Seriously. Now, people are
yeah.
saying, well, if it was Trump, you'd be celebrating. You know what? Bad
No.
people, when they get their comeuppance, you're allowed to sip of the Schadenfreude and enjoy how it goes
Yeah,
down.
I wouldn't be
I don't
celebrating
wish
him
cancer.
having cancer. I mean, I'd be like,
No,
whatever, it serves you right, you demon. But I wouldn't be like, yay. I don't know. Whatever. And that great getting up morning will be a great getting up morning, but not when he,
here,
you know what I'm
we're
saying.
not gonna know. But that was my
Right.
take. That was one of the realizations that came to me when I first heard about the Joe Biden announcement, because Trump sees any illness as weakness. And
Right.
so, like, remember when they were making fun of Hillary Clinton because she had a cough? Because she
Yes.
got pneumonia from campaigning because she refused to take care of herself because she thought if she stopped for 1 second, like, they would criticize her for stopping. So I'm like, because, anyway, that's a whole other thing. But anyway, and like when Trump had COVID, he didn't want people to know he had COVID, which is why he still showed up for the debate and gave Joe Biden COVID.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
he's an
and then when
irresponsible
he
piece of shit. So, yeah, of course.
Right. But again, being ill at all is weakness to Trump. And so when he had to go to Walter Reed because he could no longer stave off the eventuality, like, if I don't go to the hospital, I'm going to die of COVID inside the White House. He refused to go by ambulance, which would have been faster
Yeah.
because that looked weaker. He demanded Marine One take him, which was crazy, but looks all powerful. So he equates that. And so here's Joe Biden, who has never shied away from letting the whole world know that he is a fallible human being, guilty of making mistakes and doing his best to correct them, has said that repeatedly. Never lost his optimism for blah, blah, blah. Trump will never, his team will never tell us of something. Like we never got a real medical report for the
Oh,
faux
right.
assassination. Right? Never saw a real
Oh.
doctor. Never knew if he went to a real hospital. Never got a real medical report. We just got Dr. Ronnie Johnson Jackson and his,
Who was
alcohol
not a
soaked tapes.
doctor at the time. He had let
Not a-
his. That's why I wrote about it in the Substack. He had let his
Right.
license lapse, but could you imagine that it's the different rules that apply
right.
if Joe Biden
not-
did that?
Right. So I will posit that Donald Trump has had medical incidences that we don't know about. They didn't tell us about, because if he was perceived as, he had an ischemic stroke and that's why he's
Well-
dragging that leg. He would
Yeah, no, there
never
are.
let
There-
anybody know that.
We
right?
only know because of the press that on when was it, in November of 2019, he made an unplanned visit to Walter Reed Medical Hospital. I think it was in
Right.
the middle of the night too. And
Weird.
you don't make an unplanned and then they came out and said that it was just a routine checkup. But no, that's not how it happens when you're the president. You don't have unscheduled checkups at Walter Reed.
No. And he
So-
recently had to get a second colonoscopy, which
Okay, huh?
and here's that, and that kind of got lost in all of the everything. Also, Trump had to when he went for his physical, and he had a colonoscopy. Also, this doctor let him know he had to go back and get another one. And the
'cause they
reason you
found
might have to
something,
go
yeah.
back, they either here's what I know without getting too scatological, because we don't want to work too blue. He may not have cleansed correctly the first time, because going through
Oh, gross.
when you have to do the prep,
Yes, of course he didn't go
nobody-
through it properly. There's no
nobody
way.
enjoys it.
Yeah.
Nobody enjoys the prep, right? And so
Uh-uh.
he thinks he's got a special magical MAGA colon.
Yeah.
And he can just I don't know.
No,
I don't
yeah, you're
want to
right.
know. But
Yeah.
he didn't
He
either
didn't prep
didn't
correctly.
do it
You're right. No way. There's no
or they
way
found
under the sun.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or they found something and they had to go back in.
Right.
I'm gonna say it's the first thing.
Yeah,
And
because he's
he
a
had to-
baby.
they were like, which is why maybe we didn't see him for a couple of days, because
Right.
he was attached to the gold toilet. So, but we don't know. They never announced any return to that and results from that.
Right.
And I'm going to say right now, we'll never know if he's sick with anything. One day he'll just be dead. We'll never know
Well,
because
it
he will
might be
refuse
though.
to let.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it's because of the optics of it.
Yeah,
Not
no,
that
I
we're
understand.
wishing
They
a
won't
certain
announce it
disease.
until it's like
No,
when Henry
it's
the
like one
Sixth
day.
died, and they didn't
Yeah,
announce it for 3 days, and things like that. I mean, it
yeah.
was
You don't want to.
routine.
Exactly. And so, and because there's because there's rules for thee but not for me, and all of the hypocrisy, like with that 86-47 where they were all mad, but they were
Oh,
using
please.
86-46 well before this happened.
Selling
And
merchandise, and I mean,
just
come on.
the hypocrisy it's always it's fine if they do it, but and they won't shut up if you're like, hey, you did this. So like,
Right.
but Bill Clinton, if you talk about Epstein.
Oh God,
Bi-
I know.
Bill Clinton was not best friends with Jeffrey Epstein
No.
for 25 years, and there is still no proof that he ever did anything more than
He's
business transactions. We
exactly.
don't have real proof. If they ever produce the kind of proof we've seen of Trump, we found out Bill Clinton did the same thing that Trump did, I
Right.
would absolutely call him out, call him out and be like,
Yeah,
you need to be held accountable.
we
But
wouldn't
and Hal
hide
and
it.
I spent I don't know
Mm-hmm.
anybody in the chat who might have seen me on Hal's show yesterday. We spent some time on this, and we talked about how one of Hal's favorite ways to shut down a MAGA person is he'll ask, "How long would it have taken you to spot Jeffrey Epstein as a pedophile?" And a MAGA person, "Oh, right away, because they want to protect kids, right?"
Well,
Oh, I'd know right away because he's gross and he's weird and
well, he had all
he,
those
he always
girls around him, so he likes them
right.
young,
And
like Trump
so
said.
exactly. And so the follow-up question that Hal is, so he's like, so why do you think it took Trump 25 years to figure it out? Because it didn't. Because they did it together.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Pam Bondi just not being able to find anything about Trump, and all of those redacted pages, I will posit, were all about Trump, with all those blacked out
Oh
pages
yeah.
in the binders when those people were dancing around with it like they got something and then they found out they didn't get shit. Just go to my Instagram. It's pinned at the top of my Instagram profile, which is at Tara Dublin Rocks 1, the number 1. I recorded it last year because it's worse when you hear what Trump did to Katie Johnson and Maria Doe, it's all from Katie Johnson's testimony, and Pam Bondi knows exactly where it is. She's just not going to make it easy for MAGA to see it, and she's not going to risk getting Trump mad at her.
No.
And there's also that news that Stephen Miller is actually doing the work of the Attorney General, and she's just like the public facing.
Yeah. And he's not
So
even a lawyer.
He's not a
He-
lawyer.
Yeah.
She failed constitutional law in law school, is a fun fact about
Right.
Pammy. But we've also touched on this, both on this show and on Hal's show and other podcasts I've done, is that Trump loves to put up a woman in an important position of, and that way when it fails, he can blame it on the woman, not himself. It won't be his responsibility. So when all of this stuff goes sideways with Epstein eventually, or something that is related to something legal, he can blame Pam Bondi because he loves to scapegoat women, particularly black women, which we'll get to in a second. But it's just, it's another indication of the MAGA cult not wanting to believe exactly the truth of what you tell them. And it's like, the Epstein, he campaigned on Epstein's plane. And if you if you took one of those black lights to the repainted Lolita Express that they campaigned on, just imagine. And so,
Oh my
all
God.
of the denial. So, and then, so this leads us to scapegoating a black woman. Donald Trump's extra favorite thing. If you could hang something on
yeah.
a woman like Fonnie Willis or Letitia James to distract from what he's really doing. And so his latest favorite black woman to scapegoat is a Representative LaMonica McIver, who was charged. Just charged with... It was not a crime for her to be doing her job, going to a ICE detention center in Newark. It's just not a crime. Not a
And
crime
it's
at
not
all.
that you don't even have to announce it. They have the right to go there, and that's why it's going
But it
to
was
be.
a plan.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't matter. They have the right to go and inspect it. And you wouldn't. Why would you give the inspectees notice so they can clean their shit up? You want to catch them
Right.
off guard so you can see what's
Right.
really going on, and that's
Right.
their duty as the representative. So
Right.
there is really the only precedent for this. There's the only parallel, I should say, is when lawmakers have been arrested for civil disobedience. That's
Which
basically
is
it.
not what
Yeah.
happened. That is not what happened. And here, the thing is that's so frustrating among all of the billions of other things that's frustrating about the Trump regime is the way they're trying to rewrite history that we witnessed ourselves. Like the way they try to rewrite
Oh,
January 6th is
yes. Yes.
unconscionable and
Well, you did it to
all
us. The war
no,
lawfare.
no, we
This is
didn't lawfare.
lawfare.
Fuck
Right. Oh, God,
stupid
help us.
word.
I know.
Just shut up. Shut up. Shut up. We saw the videos from outside the facility in Newark. We saw. LaMonica McIver's not putting her hands on the ICE
No,
agents.
no.
She's not assaulting anyone. She's the one being assaulted.
Of
They're
course.
putting their hands on her. They're doing it to her. So the video is the story and the truth, and it like Alina Habba just
Oh, her. She was like a real estate lawyer before she started licking Trump's ass at his Bedminster club. That's how they met. And somebody was
know,
like,
and
"Oh,
now
you should meet this lady. She's a great lawyer." And I guess because she fits the suit, he's like, "Great."
yeah,
So
and
that's
then
it. That's basically it.
yeah, and she got on the Trump family plastic surgery
Mm-hmm.
plan. And now she's stuck with Ivanka's face forever. Like Kristi Noem got Alina's
Oh
Ivanka
God, the
face.
faces of these people. What a disgrace.
Speaking of Kristi Noem, she was asked today in another hearing to describe habeas corpus and could
Oh,
not.
oh, really? I missed that. That's amazing.
Not a-
Well, that's
basically
your,
she was
what I want to
another
ask,
woman
yeah,
in
is
a
that
position of power.
exactly what the hell does she?
Go
Who needs to
down.
know about the laws, the Constitution? I just wonder if she gets to expense all her costumes. Do we have to pay for that? Does she
Yes,
get
because
to
we're gonna have to pay
expense it out of petty cash? Things like that. Of course she does.
She wants a new Gulf Stream also for some reason that we're gonna have to pay for allegedly. And by the way, this reminds me, and I didn't capture it on video, and I wish that I had, but I was watching something over the weekend on Pluto TV because it's free. And so you're not supposed to complain about free stuff when they put the commercials on. If there's like 7 commercials in a row and half of them are repeats of each other, you're just like, okay, well, it's free and I'm going to keep watching what I'm watching. And I was watching it the other night, and in the middle of like the same commercials I had been seeing, in the middle of it was Kristi Noem's commercial for Homeland Security
Oh,
about
Jesus.
people who can self-deport. And
Oh,
there's
eat
an
my
app
ass,
you can download, and if you self-deport, they'll give you $1,000.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And I was just like, what
Where are we living?
Gestapo
Right.
shit is that? That was crazy. So that's all part of it. How many toddlers with cancer do you want to get, deport, lady? It's
If you
just, that's all.
self-deport, I'll give you
There's an
$1,000.
There's an app. There's an app. And she's like, if you're an illegal,
Oh, fuck off, lady.
just
Your face is
that's-
illegal.
Shut. I mean, hello. And so, hopefully,
should be a
and
law.
of course, you think?
Guess.
Thankfully, obviously, congressional Democrats are rallying behind LaMonica McIver and saying they are out of line. She didn't do anything wrong. This is authoritarianism trying to arrest members of Congress who are just doing their jobs. That's like
Yeah. It's
that,
all about
and
that.
if they want. Right. And so if they want to get rid of habeas corpus because they don't understand what it means, because Kristi Noem thought it meant that you can just let the president do whatever he wants and he can get rid of whoever he wants. That's not what it means. And so, and they also want to get rid of birthright citizenship. Who they coming for? Who are they going to come for? Because that's a fear and a legitimate one, as, MAGA people continue to attack the president. Oh, God.
Is this the ad you're talking about?
It might be.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump for securing our border
Oh,
and
eat
putting
my
America
ass,
first.
lady.
Let me deliver a message from President Trump to the world.
Fuck you.
If you are
oh
considering
my
entering
God.
America illegally, don't even think about
Listen
it.
to that music.
Let me be clear. If you come to our country and you break our laws,
It's not
we
this
will hunt
one.
you down.
It's not this one,
Criminals
but
are
it's
not welcome in the United States. For too
Wait a minute.
long, weak leadership has left our
weak
borders
leadership.
wide open,
Oh,
flooding
you
our
bitch.
communities with drugs, human trafficking, and violent criminals. Well, those
Bullshit.
days are over. Under President Trump,
Oh my
we are
God!
defending
Thank
American
God
families and
we have a
restoring their safety.
President Trump.
If you try to enter illegally,
We didn't know
you
how to
will be
dress
caught.
ourselves before.
You will be removed, and you will never return. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity.
Look,
If
there
you
she's
break
cosplaying
it,
as
you'll
the
find
the
consequences.
Homeland Security
Strong
Secretary.
borders mean a stronger
Right.
America.
Oh, fuck you.
President Trump is making America
It's not
safe
this.
again.
This is terrible, but this
is
isn't the one I was
bad.
talking
Yeah.
about.
They're all
No,
horrible.
No,
Yeah.
and you know what's really terrible is that they are. She's working with the producers of Duck Dynasty to
Yeah.
create a reality show for
It's-
people who want to compete for citizenship, which
right.
is like that's some fucking Hunger Games shit
Yeah,
right there.
it's right
That's
out of
literally the
that.
Hunger Games.
I thought that it
It
was a
is.
joke, but every time I read something or something comes across my phone about these assholes, I'm like, this can't be real. This must be The Onion, and it's not.
You want to believe that, right? You want to believe that we can't live in a country that is this stupid and mean.
Horrible.
Right.
That's it.
And it's just like again and again they continue to prove that they are the absolute
They're the
opposite of the
worst.
pro-life party.
They
They are
yeah.
the worst. They're
On every
you
level.
know, and there's no on every level. And you know, holding votes in the middle of the night to take food out of the mouths of children. Holding votes in the middle of the night to confirm terrible people. Holding votes in the middle of the night, period. If you're proud of what you're doing, you put it on TV during
Yes.
daylight hours when people are watching because you're excited that you're making even worse cuts to a bill that you wouldn't pass the other day because the cuts weren't bad enough. But at the same time, we have to call out the Democrats who are not voting in the ways that we need them to be voting. And right now, I'm angry with Cory Booker because as much as I love Cory Booker,
Yeah.
who usually stands up and does the right thing and is a very powerful leader and has very, is a, strong and powerful and an amazing speaker and broke the filibuster record and does all of the things that, says all of the right
sounds
things.
good, right? I mean, where's the action to back it up? I don't know.
He voted. First of all, he was one of several, and I don't know how many it was because I didn't count, but too many Democrats voted for that crypto bullshit bill. Senate Democrats voted to pass that bullshit crypto bill so that Donald Trump can keep grifting and making money from other people.
Yeah,
and
it's an
people
untraceable bribe hole. That's about it.
People can buy their way into the White House,
Yeah.
which I'm shocked he hasn't already put his name on in golden letters on
amazing.
the front of it. The Trump crypto scam arena. But Booker voted for that, along with a bunch of others, thankfully not my senators. He also was the lone Senate Democrat who voted to confirm Charles Kushner as ambassador to France.
No.
Yes,
that
yes,
guy. That he's a horrible.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
we know what Charles Kushner is. He was pardoned by traitor Trump, and you know what he did. I don't know if you probably know.
Tell the kid. Tell the
He-
kids though, because it's not just one thing.
He's a
'Cause it's
disgusting
never just
person.
one thing.
Right. Well,
I mean,
he
he's
was
Jared's dad.
Yes.
And Ivanka's father-in-law.
and the apple
So-
doesn't fall far from the tree. But he was, up on charges, federal charges for interfering with election. He was trying to buy politicians and things like that. And it was Chris Christie that actually prosecuted him. And during the case, when it was all going on, he got hit with more charges because he was trying to tamper with a witness by setting up his sister's husband, and the witness was his sister. So he sent, so he trapped the sister's husband in a honeypot
So gross.
situation with a prostitute, and they filmed it, they videotaped it, and then he sent the videotape to his sister. Nice fucking family you got here. Of course, he was captured and caught by the feds for doing that. That's the great people who Traitor Trump surrounds himself with, and who are, his daughters married into that family, but they're all disgusting. Jared Kushner is disgusting too. I did a whole thing on my show about it years ago when they were squatting in the White House the first time. Jared Kushner, they're just horrible people. They made their money. It's sort of like Crassus in ancient Rome. He was the richest man in Rome. He would go around and because Rome was a fire trap, and if things would go on fire, the homes would go on fire, and because he had a lot of money, he would show up and be like, "Hey, I'll buy that from you for $1 or a denarii," and then they would sell it to them. Then his fire brigade would put it out. And he ended up, owning a lot of real estate. But and it was always like when people were on the balls of their ass. And that's Jared Kushner and the Kushner family. They go after people in their worst moments. And what they did, one of the things is they bought a very distressed trailer park. And that's what, this is who they're dealing with, because they knew that the people there are vulnerable and they can't fight back. So as soon as they bought it, they went through their records and they were like, well, this one she broke her lease and there's no note here, so we're going to go after her. So everything that they could, any little nickel or dime way that they could sick their attorneys on the people in the trailer park, this is what they did. And this one woman in particular was like, she had already moved and she broke her lease, but she had permission, but they couldn't find the note. And they dragged her into court. And because of this, she ended up losing her job because she had to miss so many days at work. I mean, this is what, it just spiraled. Her life spiraled because of these fuckers.
It's super Trumpy.
Yes.
It's literally exactly. He's a slumlord.
That's what they are.
Trump.
They're horrible people.
Slumlord, horrible
down.
people. And the fact that they're Jewish, Trump can put that on the back burner because they're doing enough of the same sort of shit and he's going to profit from it. He's not happy that his daughter married a Jew and converted to Judaism, but he's tolerant because he's clearly tolerant because he has been enriched by their criminality as well. And if he wasn't, then he wouldn't have pardoned Jared's father. Like he would have. And
now he's an ambassador. It's just.
And now to France.
To our oldest ally, too. What a fucking disgrace. The whole thing.
It's a slap in the face of the founders because if you know your Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was kicking ass as the ambassador to France.
Oh, okay.
And then he came back and then he became, a part of the first cabinet. But it's... I don't know what to say about Cory Booker voting for both things. We have to reiterate over and over, like, you are not fit for Democratic leadership if you're not leading.
What are you doing?
Confused. This is why we're frustrated. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And again, we can go back to the brilliant genius that is Hal Sparks when he explained why it was better to confirm David Perdue as the ambassador to China. And first of all, Hal should be the ambassador to China because he actually lived there and
absolutely,
Chinese, which we've mentioned before. David Perdue has no experience doing that, except he has a lot of experience as an insider at doing insider trading. So, but Hal's take was for ambassador to China, it's important enough of a position that it's better to have someone in there than no one in there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the same thing when it comes to France. I don't know how dependent we are on France for anything other than, thanks for the Statue of Liberty, which people were talking about that as being like a comparable thing to Trump being gifted with a $400 million plane bribe. And it's like, no, not the same. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France to America. Mm-hmm. Not to the president.
I know.
Not to one man.
To try to conflate that is such a pathetic both sides, or just a grasping at straws that is not even comparable.
Right? They will and that's just, indicative of what they do. They twist themselves into pretzels to justify anything about Trump. But, like they'll twist themselves to make a lie about Trump seem truthful, but they'll believe any lie about Joe Biden on its face without challenging it. That's just that's just a cult mentality, when people are still responding to, stuff with older, like 2016 propaganda in 2025. You're
right.
just like, come on.
Well, I just
Don't
looked up,
material.
why would Cory Booker vote for Charles Kushner? It seems that he has a long-standing relationship with him.
Yes, he does, and I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that dates back to 2002 when Kushner helped fund Booker's first unsuccessful run for mayor of Newark. Booker also wrote a letter of support for Kushner amid his legal troubles in 2004. Let me see what else it says.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, that
Strange bedfellows, but you don't need to get into bed with a criminal.
No.
You don't need to get in bed with a slumlord.
Like, okay, you could say thanks for your help, but, I got to distance myself from you because you're a convicted felon. You are convicted of tax evasion, which is, another rich dude who wants a free ride off everyone's back, a parasite who doesn't want to pay his fair share, doesn't want to pay for the roads, the schools, the bridges, the military, everything that we all have to chip in. And he's also convicted of illegal campaign contributions and, of course, witness tampering, like we were saying.
Let's also, there's the blood money that Jared got from the Saudis that has never been explained.
Oh yeah, that's always
he was involved in the. He was absolutely involved in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Yes,
he's absolutely involved in that, and so Jared and his father should be in the same cell.
They're all fucking gross. Yep.
Right in El Salvador, not Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He doesn't belong there. Maybe they should just trade places. So so it's frustrating. It's frustrating to hear that. It's frustrating that Cory Booker stands up and is this paragon of fighting for democracy, but then he's like, unless it's for my buddy the Kushners, and then I'll just bend all the way. That makes no sense to me, and it makes me frustrated as a Democrat, and especially as a Jersey girl. Like we're not supposed. This is some. I'm not happy about that at all. And his relationship goes back to 2002, and you have seen what he's done. You've seen what Trump has done, what their relationship has done, that has not been nothing but toxic. And it matters that it's hurt the state of New Jersey and it's hurt people in New Jersey, and Booker knows that, and I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated
it just
makes
by that. It really does denigrate what his good work, his speech on the floor. Well, that was wonderful, but we want to see the action behind those words, and to palling around with the Kushners is kind of it just reminds me about what my mom always said. If you want to know someone, look at their friends. It's great to give a speech, which is what the Democrats are good. They're good at giving speeches, I guess, on the House floor. Maybe not, but not backing it up with the action. This is the problem. That's why people are not, that don't take them seriously and don't trust the Democrats because of shit like this.
And, then this brings you back to the argument of, should they be primary? What should there be term limits? Should this, like what David Hogg is talking about, should we be pushing? It's so frustrating because there's no unifying message and no one leader that we can stand behind and go, hey, this person's really always doing the right thing all of the time. And so,
except
again, you have to go back and, well, no, not except for Bernie, not always. And so, he went on the same Dude Bro podcast that Pete Buttigieg went on, and he said some stuff, he blamed Kamala for losing, and it's he didn't get on board with Hillary soon enough, and, whatever.
Well, no one can, I'm a Bernie-crat, so no one campaigns more for Hillary than Bernie Sanders. That is
once he
fact.
Was ready to do it.
Yeah, but
he took his time, though.
I mean, it could have been. It wasn't a coronation. Whatever.
Well, there also shouldn't be an electoral college, which is really the biggest problem there. But anyway, going back to okay. So you go back and watch, just see who votes and which way they vote, and who's mostly the most consistent with their votes, and that's who should be Senate Minority Leader for the Democrats, and it shouldn't be someone who just tweets and sends strongly worded letters. It should be someone like Elizabeth Warren or Patty Murray or Jeff Merkley, who's my senator, who has consistently been voting against all of the Trump shit, consistent, as has Ron Wyden, my other senator. And so I don't know what to do anymore because, like, except just to keep doing what we're doing, right? And keep sharing what we're doing. And so we have a really sizable chat room today, which I totally appreciate. And so if every single person in the chat room shared our show and our Substacks on their socials, and
that would be nice.
Keep growing this independent media community and supporting us. That's all part of it, because like it's and the other thing that we also have to remember is that the most of the voting public is not on social media like we are. They're not on Twitter. They're not on Blue Sky. They're not on Insta. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe they're on Facebook, but they're not active. Like my mother doesn't do any social media. She does some Instagram, but she does it so that she can see pictures of her niece, my nieces, her grandmother.
That's about it. Yeah.
That's about it. But it's also, to her detriment, because like we had a conversation about, and again, my stepfather voted for Trump 3 times and my mother did not. And
my condolences.
They have a no politics rule in the apartment, and they live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I went through it with my stepfather all 3 times, and I kept saying, here's your history, and here it is. And he's like, I just can't vote for a Democrat. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
Because he's been propagandized. That's basically it.
The first time,
it's true.
The first time around, I was like, why? He's like, he's gonna build the wall. I'm like, no, he's not. And I said to him, I'm like, and again, I'm not going to make any excuses for my stepfather. Okay. He's not very well educated. He grew up in Brooklyn. He's a hard-headed Italian guy from Brooklyn who lived a pretty sheltered life until he went out and saw the world. And even then he didn't understand that Democrats have given him everything that made his life livable, including my mother. So, and I had said to him all 3 times, I said, if, because they live in New York, I was like, I don't ever tell people not to vote, but I told him not to. I'm like, your vote is nothing and it doesn't mean anything in New York.
Right.
You're going to vote for the Republic. It's not going to go
Save
anywhere.
yourself the eternal shame. And just stay home.
And so, and now they have a problem in New York where they can't find a mayor who can do the job.
Oh, him
having a real problem.
Oh, fuck that.
Real problem.
I hate that guy.
And
well, this is the thing, like with
you don't want a Cuomo back. You don't
no,
want a Cuomo.
no, and he wants to come back too. But this is the thing. I voted for Maya Wiley in the primary, and she's a decent person who is an actual representative. This is what I was thinking about with Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden is not perfect either, but honestly, he surprised me. He was absolutely more progressive than I expected him to be, and I was grateful for that. And he seemed to be, regardless of what he's talked about his entire career before, he was channeling FDR, and I was relieved. And he seemed to understand that. I mean, he had a bust of FDR in his office, and he was trying to help the working class of this country. But the other thing, but what I thought about when he came out with his cancer diagnosis, and just now thinking about Maya Wiley and other decent people like Jimmy Carter, for example, maybe this country is not capable of having a decent person in the presidency, maybe because of the state of the country, because of propaganda, because of I mean, I don't think FDR could get elected under these circumstances.
Not in a wheelchair.
Not these days with a Rush Limbaugh, with a Rupert Murdoch's poison pustule, constantly churning out the bullshit. Now, I captured a video of Trump almost walking into a wall, okay? And fucking Mike Johnson had to grab him and be like, no, this way. He almost literally walked into a wall, all right?
Jesus Christ.
So
there's also a video of him unable to open a box.
Right. I mean, but you want to talk about...
I guess because it wasn't a Happy Meal, he couldn't open it.
Right. He would have just ripped it with his teeth if that was the case. But, I mean, you want to talk about Biden being diminished.
I do.
In fact,
I want to circle back to that. I do.
But, I mean, Trump is walking into fucking walls. You want to read some of the quotes you want to talk about dementia? They used on the corporate media. They used a clip of Biden going, "Oh well, when Trump was elected in 2017," and then the reporter goes, "2016." Oh, and he goes, "Oh yeah, 2016." Like, who the fuck doesn't do that? You know, I mean, and they use that as an example of him losing his mind. It's so fucking.
He didn't take
petty.
office till 2017, and
Right.
it always bothers
It
me when
doesn't
people
even
split
matter.
hairs
I know.
and
It's
turn it into a
ridiculous.
semantics thing. That is ridiculous, and it's just one thing that's really effective is if you take a transcript of something that Trump said and you read it in your voice rather than listen to Trump say it, because a lot of people just tune him out because they don't want to hear his voice. They don't want to look at him while he's speaking. They don't want to. I don't want to look at him
he
with
makes
his puckered
no
orange
sense.
anus face. None.
Right.
None. Ridiculous, and
Well-
it's getting worse and worse. Like he can't pronounce anything, and
No.
he stumbles over his words. But and again, you have this happening right now. Instead of going back and rebashing Joe Biden for what's
Right.
happening now is just, why are you piling on such a nice
I
man?
know.
He is such a nice man. At no time did Joe Biden ever tweet anything that could be remotely seen as a threat to his
Please.
perceived enemies, because he didn't have perceived
Oh, it's the
enemies.
Biden crime
'Cause
family.
Because Democrats aren't
So
paranoid
ridiculous.
cultists. And here, the narrative of one thing that I put out on Sunday, because and on Monday after I wrote about it, with the shut up about Joe Biden and big just like shut up with the genocide Joe shit, and someone was like,
I
he's
know.
funding genocide. Story today, by the way, this morning in the Guardian, and this is from this morning when I woke up. UN warns 14,000 babies could die in Gaza in next 48 hours without aid. And whose fault is
Yes.
that? Not Joe Biden.
I know.
Not Kamala
I mean,
Harris.
Trump wants
Not
to
them.
level the fucking place and turn
How
it
many
into.
times do we have to tell you?
Exactly. Well, I just wanted to read something from our dear leader when he was asked about Alcatraz. That because he saw it on TV. He saw it
watch The
played.
Rock.
Yeah, he played on Miami television or wherever his Maramoron is. He the movie Escape from Alcatraz played 2 times that
It did.
weekend,
Oh my
and
God,
that's
that's
when he
hilarious.
announced that he wants to reopen Alcatraz. And this is what he said: "Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making, and we'll end." I mean, Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing, Alcatraz, the movies. But most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know, the story, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. We need law and order in this country. Does this fucking make sense? And so we're going to look at it.
Bite.
Yes, some of the people up here are going to bring it back in large form and a lot, but I think it's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point. What the fuck did you just say, Grandpa?
Nothing. You said nothing. You had said lots of nothing.
Unreal.
And more nothing to cover up
But
for
Biden.
the other nothing that you didn't say.
But Biden since
was
2017.
78.
I mean, give me a fucking break.
Let's
Yeah.
all point out that Donald Trump is going to be 79 next month,
Yeah.
which is 1 year older than Joe Biden was when he was sworn into office.
That's right.
So, and
He
also,
is the oldest now. That's he does hold the record.
Trump is
by,
the oldest.
Trump, yeah.
He's also, I mean, it's ridiculous. And I also, that now they're trying to say, the people on the right are trying to say that Joe Biden had cancer the entire time he was
So
in
what?
office, and he hid
If
it
that's
from the
the
public.
case, who cares?
But that's not the case. And here's the
Yeah, it's
thing.
not the case, even if it
Prostate
was. Though.
cancer, right. Prostate cancer is often not detected until it gets
Yes,
to the
that's
late
right.
stages. It's incredibly rare to find prostate cancer at stage 1. If you do, you're very, very lucky.
Well, why didn't
to have found
Jill
it that
Biden
early.
find it in her
And
her
again,
doctor of education degree? Yeah.
'cause she's, that doesn't make you qualified to diagnose
Uh-huh.
anybody.
Well,
with
that's what
anything
that's
except
what
maybe,
Donald.
except
yeah.
maybe a learning disability,
Right.
which clearly is what Don Jr. has, because she's not a doctor, that kind of doctor. And okay, And also, there's no stage 9 cancer, by the way, which
I
is
know.
another thing that Trump
Well,
said. And
there
so
you
I
go.
said, stage 9, isn't that where they filmed The Apprentice? So
Yeah.
there's no stage 9.
If Joe
So
Biden said
and
that, forget about it. They'd be trying to drag him off to some old age home against his
I
will.
mean, they always were. I would say, and we touched on this on Hal's show yesterday also. If Joe Biden was undergoing any sort of cancer treatment, that would involve radiation and chemo. Radiation and chemo lowers your immune system, and it makes you vulnerable to airborne viruses way more. Now, he did get COVID twice.
Right.
If he was also undergoing chemo at the same time, it would have been a way more severe bout with COVID and could have killed him because of your immune system being suppressed during chemotherapy. So I'm going to go ahead and say that he was not being treated for cancer during his years in the White House. We would have been able to detect that in one way or another. His hair would have fallen out. His hair didn't fall out.
That's true.
You know, that's a side effect of chemotherapy. Yep. Not everybody's hair falls out entirely. Like my mom lost her eyebrows when she was going through radiation and chemo, but he didn't. Looks the same. He didn't disappear for a long period of time. And we were told when he had COVID. And the second time we found out he had COVID at the end of that, he was like, by the way, I'm stepping aside. So, you know, I would say that it could have been a factor of his decision that he knew that maybe he had gotten a bad scan at that point. We can, and again, to sit around here and try to guess is one thing. But what Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson are doing is disgusting. And hopefully that will come to a grinding halt now. Wow. And I mean, Jake Tapper is being dragged to filth on socials right now. It's kind of glorious. It's kind of glorious.
I hope
because
I hope it hurts.
Right. I hope it hurts your ratings, and whatever credibility you may have had left is gone. And CNN is problematic for lots of reasons. The fact that they continue to employ Scott Jennings is a huge problem. And so, you know, you've lost so much credibility as a network already. This is not going to help. Not going to help you or CNN. And so, to the point where, like I said earlier, they have blocked the comments on Amazon for Jake Tapper's book, like they did when Marjorie Taylor Greene put out her book.
That's crazy.
Amazon had to shut off the comments because they were
because it was
terrible.
because I thought that now they have it so you can only comment if you actually bought the book, but maybe
not true. Not true, says the self-published struggling author. So here's my journey is, if everyone went to, we have 130 people in the chat right now. If all 130 people in the chat went to TaraDublinRocks.com right now, it just goes to the Amazon page. And the only reason it's on Amazon this way is because I use the Amazon KDP to self-publish, because despite me querying real agents to get a real publishing deal, it eluded me, despite my Cameron Crowe blurb and the connection to Dave Grohl and all the famous people who have copies and have said nice things about it. Still not getting anywhere. So it's about numbers, and maybe if I sold 100,000 copies, it would impress somebody. Right now, I'm kind of stalled because the world isn't fire. But anyway, if all 130 people went to TaraDublinRocks.com right now and bought a copy of The Sound of Settling with either in paperback or Kindle or as Audible, that would count as a verified purchase. And they would be able to leave, or they should be able to leave they would be able to leave a review, and those reviews would be at the top because they're verified. But you don't have to make a purchase to leave a review, which is why I have a bunch of bullshit mug-up reviews.
That's bullshit.
Reviews saying, and they don't say anything about the book because they don't know what the book is about. It's a rock and roll love story, okay? It's not political. It's not about Trump. It's set from 2001 to 2006, which is a time when I was on the radio here in Portland. So there's like lots of Foo Fighters Easter eggs in it. And it's basically like the ultimate fan fiction because it's based on my real life meet cool with Dave Grohl at a secret Foo Fighter show in 2001. Nothing ever happened with Dave and me, and I could not be more grateful that nothing has ever happened between us because of all of, and you can go to my Substack and read about my personal disappointments with him if you want. But what I'm saying is, Jake Tapper is a giant opportunistic piece of shit. And he is pushing a book full of untruths about Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And it's disheartening. It's disheartening that the wrong people get book deals and get to push this shit out and make money from it. And Jake Tapper's not going to have to return the money that he got to write that book. He's not going to have to return any.
He probably got a nice advance to write it. So,
right?
Just, yeah.
Right? I tried, I've honestly kind of backed off on promoting my book because I'm so suppressed on Twitter, which is where I have the most followers. And I mean, it's getting closer on Blue Sky. But it's really hard to make people care because of, although I would say like it's a perfect reason to take a break. Like it's a love story, read a love story, and there's sex in it and people like it. And come on, Ellen Barkin wants to be in the streaming series. What do I have to do? But what I'm saying is like, the wrong people getting opportunities, and like Jake Tapper's career isn't going to take that much of a hit. Right. I don't think he's going to lose his job at CNN. I don't think so.
Probably
and,
not.
He's not going to be any less of a millionaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet here am I struggling to sell copies of my book where the royalties will be like pennies on, per sale, trying to get somewhere. I'm a good person inherently. I don't wake up every day going, how can I make money off of somebody else's misery? That is not that's not my jam. I wouldn't feel good about doing that. I would not feel good about doing anything like that. I would never do that, which is why you could never pay me to sell out my country, promote anything a Republican is doing, be a conservative pundit, even though, like Lindy Lee would tell you, that's where the money is.
Yeah.
You can just leave the Democratic Party and go pretend you're MAGA and make money that way. And I'm not going to do that.
They would love that because they love a convert, especially a cult. A cult loves a convert, especially a female. No way. No way. And so, like, on the one hand, it's like, well, fine. If my book never takes off because of whatever, at least I know I made people happy. Everybody who reads it for real loves it. And they say really nice things about it. And they say things like, I couldn't put it down. And I need a sequel. And I want a streaming series. And these are all very nice things when the real people really read them. But the whole point was anybody can leave a shitty review. And it doesn't have to be a verified purchase, which is why they had to turn off the comments under both Jake Tapper's book and Marjorie Taylor Greene's book. And my favorite, Marjorie's book was just called MTG. And my favorite comment that I saw... She absolutely. Just thinks she's like JFK, I mean, she's very...
Or RBG.
Yeah,
the
FDR.
MTG came from RBG. Right,
well, AOC. She's really thirsty to be AOC.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Right. The best comment that I saw before they all got shut off was, this is really a really disappointing book because it had nothing to do with Magic the Gathering. MTG.
What is she... I mean, God help us.
Oh, my God, we're almost done. So here's what I'm going to do is ask everybody to continue holding Democrats accountable, keep holding Republicans accountable, but also we need to keep growing our community of truth-telling, independent media supporters because it's going to continue coming from us. And I think if we push back hard enough on the mainstream media, they'll start feeling that pressure and they'll start accepting the fact that like Katie Couric just sat down with the Midas Touch kids because their podcast is better, is doing better than Joe Rogan's, which is heartening, right?
Good, yeah.
So what's good for them is good for us. Like we're doing the same business. We're telling the truth. We're holding them accountable. We're here with people that you love and trust, like Stephanie Miller and John Fugelsang and Frangela and Hal Sparks. And we've got guest writers all the time, like Brian Karam and JoJo from Jers and Dino Badela. And it's us continuing to support each other, which reminds me, I'll be on Dean's show tomorrow doing my bi-weekly segment, Bullbusters, where we tell the truth. So it'll be more of this action on his Sirius XM. But to everybody in the chat, we appreciate you for being here. Extra special thanks to Jim for being the awesome moderator.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
Right? My book, Watusi says, your book will get picked up, just takes time. It's been taking a longer time than I would like. So I would, again, ask 130 of you. And again, I also understand if you can't afford to buy a book right now, because I can't afford to buy anything right now. That's fine. We understand that. If you just share it on your socials, that's free. Hey, I've put this on my to-be read list. Hey, this book looks great. You can also have your local library order it or your local independent bookstore. Can also order The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. And make sure you are signed up for our Substacks, and we will be back with you on Thursday. Same
Yes.
Tower time, same Tower channel, with this music that's public domain, because we can't afford to pay the royalties. Someday, though.
All right.
Someday. Who
Well,
knows?
it's
Who
fine.
knows? Who knows? We'll get the ACD song. TNT.
That'll be nice.
I know.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Talk about that. All right,
check
everybody.
out the Political
Thank you so
Voices
much.
Substack. Become a patron. All that. We will see you on Thursday.
Thanks, guys. We love you.